right, let's go ahead and get this show on the road. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to continue with the topic of power of pre-qualification. So we're at the midpoint, and we are going to get some role play in today. I want to continue to do that. As always, I'm going to encourage those of you that are joining us over on YouTube, those of you that are joining us over on Instagram and Facebook, to come join us over on Zoom. All the information is there. All right. So any questions, any comments, any concerns, anything of anything that I can address right out the gate before I jump into my points? Anyone? Any
I have a
challenges?
question about question number 2. When you're pre-qualifying someone, and it's so obvious that they're not interviewing other agents for the job of selling the home.
What do we do with that question? Yeah, for sure. So everybody's on the same page, power of pre-qualification. And in the pre-qualifying, that second question is, are you planning on interviewing more than one agent for the job of selling your home? So when we find ourselves in that position, Shelley, what we want to do is we want to ask from an assumptive manner. And what I mean by that is basically, Shelley, I don't want to be in a position where I'm assuming that you're not planning on interviewing another agent for the job of selling your home, but you're not planning to, correct? So all I'm doing is assumptively going in that direction, and I'm kind of leading you to a no. You're not going to do that, of course. Is that right? Okay. Oh, no. We have no plans to do that. And if they do, well, then we have to be prepared. In either direction, we don't want to get caught off guard, because there are going to be some times where all of a sudden they go, no, we're not planning on interviewing anybody else. But we did talk to an agent about 2 months ago. Huh? What? I didn't know this. And you'll be you'll be surprised in the number of times that people will do that. Okay? So what we want to do is not be in a position where we have to remember the question that we don't ask is almost always the question that bites us in the ass. Okay. So we'll go through, we do the presentation. They're not looking at interviewing any other agent. They haven't spoken with anybody else. You go through the entire presentation. At the very end, you're like, yeah, I got these people. And they go, yeah, we love it. Yeah, we're ready. We're excited. We really want to do this. But we're going to talk about it. Okay, well, what is it that you want to talk about? Well, I mean, we spoke to another agent about 2 months ago, and, we just kind of want to be able to evaluate on whether or not we're going to re-interview that agent. Huh? What? I was under the impression I was the only one. So we want to be a little bit careful from that direction. Okay. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and move on. Any other questions that I can address? As usual, I'm going to encourage those of you that are joining us over on YouTube, and those of you that are joining us over on Instagram, come join us over on Zoom. All the information is there. I am going to be sharing scripts here in just a little bit. So let's continue on the power of pre-qualification. Just a couple of the highlight points. Number one is, why do we pre-qualify? The reason we pre-qualify, and again, we're talking about from a seller's standpoint, the reason we pre-qualify is it sets us apart. Okay. We want to make sure we understand that there is a sense of separation between us and the competition. Out of 10 agents that go on listing presentations, I'm talking about all agents, how many agents actually go through and do some version of a seller pre-qualification? Almost none. Almost none. And of the ones that do, okay, because I come from the tutelage of Mike Ferry, and it's expected, and it's a standard, and it's you don't go on a listing presentation unless you pre-qualify. When that does happen, well, guess how many of those actually pre-qualify thoroughly? Okay, it's probably less than 5 or maybe even 10% at the absolute most. Okay, so it's something that we want to pay attention to, because I get this question asked, and the question that gets asked is, well, they tell me that they hear these same questions from other realtors, and you might. And if you're in a little bit more of an aggressive market, if you're in LA, if you're in San Francisco, if you're in New York, if you are in Miami, there's a very good likelihood that you're going to be competing with another realtor 2 or 3 that are almost the exact same thing as far as equipped with the same questions. But I can almost assure you that a large percentage of them are not following the scripts verbatim. Or of the questions that's being asked, they're only going to ask a small percentage of the questions. They're only going to ask the questions that are most convenient. They'll ask 4, 5, 6, or 7 of the questions. They won't ask the questions between the questions. And that's the mastery of it. Okay. Remember, the question between the questions, we have our foundation, which is, of course, those 10 questions. Now, the questions between the questions are the questions that are the secondaries. And the question between the questions are always the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, the how, and sometimes the if. Why are those questions not already in there? Because every situation is different. The conversation that I'm having with a single bachelor that is just proposed to his girlfriend and is about to start the family is a little bit of a different conversation than when I'm speaking to the gentleman that is in their 70s and basically is an empty nester for the last 5 or 10 years, and they've been, satisfied with their two-story home, 2,500 square feet, 5 bedroom, 3 bath, and it's really just him and his significant other. Or how about the investor? Okay. We want to be able to separate the different conversations between one versus the other. Even amongst the people that are here, I can almost assure you every single one of you have a little bit of a different scenario or situation. Some of you might have young ones, some of them might be in their adolescence, some of you might have teenagers, some of you might have adult children that just don't want to leave the home. Right? And so, son, it's 30, you're 32 years old. Happy birthday. I think it's time. All right. Okay. So, and of course, the investors. That's how we separate ourselves. Okay. So, any other questions? Anything else I can address? What are some challenges? What are some other questions that you're finding yourself, having a hard time with? What's another question that you guys are having a hard time with?
Mm, I mean, same thing. Ever thought about selling it yourself when they're calling me? I always get like, no. Like, obviously, that's why I'm talking to you.
And it's the exact same thing as the other one. So I'm glad you actually brought those up because those are actually my personal reservations when I first started. Those very same two. And again, the very first one that Shelly is talking about is the are you planning to interview more than one agent for the job of selling your home? I don't want to plant the seed of them giving them the idea that they should, but that's not what we're going after. And in the second question that Shelly is bringing up, which is the have you ever thought about selling this home yourself? We have to ask that question because, again, the question that we don't ask is always going to be the question that ends up biting you in the butt. Okay. And again, same exact thing. The way that I approach that, Shelly, is I do it from an assumptive manner. An assumptive manner is, Shelly, look, I never want to assume to be the case, but you're, of course, not thinking about selling this house yourself, right? You're going to leave it to the professional. Okay, awesome, good. I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. Okay, good. So I didn't see you as a DIY person.
And is that a good place to add on or renting it out? Like,
Yeah.
you weren't planning on selling it yourself, you're gonna leave it to the professional, okay, and then they answer, and then you say, okay, how about renting it out? Have you considered that?
Well, I don't do that because I go through, and the very first question is if what I say, Shelly, makes sense and you feel comfortable and you do feel confident that I can sell your home, or are you planning on listing your home with me? Right there is with where I'm going to get a little bit of the rental information. Okay. Or they might give me, because if when we don't ask that question, that's when I do get a little bit of the we're thinking about renting it out. But when I ask that question, if they are thinking about renting it, they'll say, well, yeah, I am thinking about selling it, but I'm also toying with the idea of renting this out. Okay. So if they're in a situation where they've whispered about it, possibly, maybe we've toyed with the idea, anything from that direction of renting it out. Again, whether we like, love, or hate with what it is that they're telling us, we will always say that is an option. We're always going to say that's an option. Shelly, that's great. That's definitely an option. We can. Are you really considering on renting this place out? Good. I'm really excited about that. Let's talk about that. And that way we can go ahead and see what the benefits are of keeping this home as a rental. Or heck, you know what? I work with a lot of investors and smart people like yourself that see the benefits in real estate. And what I'd like to do is run a different scenario where you could make more money. Is it okay if I give you another scenario where you could make more money? Right? When are people going to tell us no? Okay. Well, Robert, you said we don't ask yes or no questions. Correct. However, you ask a yes or no question when you know the answer to it. How many people are going to tell us, no, I'm not looking to make more money? Right? Just like if I were to sit here and ask of all of you realtors and or lenders and their salespeople, is that are you looking and wanting to be successful? No, I'm just here because I'm bored. Doesn't work that way. Okay, cool. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on a couple more points. I'm going to go ahead and share script. I want to get some role play. That's the purpose of this class. And then Lizette had a little bit of technical difficulty, so she's on. So what we're going to do is slowly transition Lizette into, she's going to be the co-host role. And what I want her to do is just be a little bit of a different perspective and hearing it from with what the audience wants to hear, because sometimes I get on my soapbox, I get a little ranty like I am right now. And at the same point in time, there's times where I make a point where it's just kind of brushed over or I'm not quite as clear. So Lizette's going to play a really vital role. So let's welcome Lizette
Good
to,
morning.
yeah, there we go. Good morning.
Yeah, I think just to chime in on a little bit on your that's an option. I do use that just like on a regular conversation. And then especially since we're working as business partners too, like, we're also life partners. So it's always like a nice way to say, yeah, I mean, I don't like, it's a no, but it's an option, like giving you, that free pass. So I think that's a good way just to incorporate that into your regular conversation.
Yeah, 100%.
So it takes. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So when people are, sitting there convinced, I had, for example, one of my coaching clients, I don't know if he's here right now, but he's looking to invest, and his lender said, "Hey, you know what? You shouldn't sell the home that you live in. You should keep it and then just simply buy another one." And I said, "Well, yeah, that's what we talked about, keeping in real estate as an investment. But we also talked about moving your money over to multi-unit properties." Yeah, but the lender's against it, and I'm not quite sure. I'm a little bit confused because my lender is like really big in regards to investments and finance. And I said, well, that's definitely an option. You can look at it from either perspective. Either way, you're in a great position because you're looking to increase your real estate portfolio. So congratulations in either direction. Okay. Now, I would encourage you to look at somebody other than myself or someone else. Maybe look at, how about Grant Cardone? Okay. He seems to be a little bit of a guru. Let's see what he says. And what do you think Grant's going to say? Don't keep houses. Go get multi-units. Okay. So I just seek the advice from professionals that are doing it at a high level. Okay. All right, let's move on one more point, and then we're going to go ahead and move into the role play. Pre-qualifying. One thing that I like about pre-qualifying is it gives us the opportunity to set, which I want all of you to, is to have minimum standards. Minimum standards. What do I mean by that? Okay. I'm now in Central California. I get the good fortune of being business partners and life partners with Lizette. And it's a little bit different with where I'm at currently than where I was about a year and a half ago. And what I mean by that, a year and a half ago, I was in a city known as Ranch Cucamonga, which is just about 30 minutes outside of LA. And if I went 30 minutes east, I would end up in San Bernardino. And in San Bernardino, I'm now listing, I grew up in San Bernardino, so bear with me in regards to this response. So I know what San Bernardino is about. There's beautiful areas, but there's parts of San Bernardino that I really don't want to take a listing over there. It's probably in a position where, especially on this street and that street, I'm going to be dealing with a lot of the headaches and the frustrations and the agitations. But if I go 30 minutes west, now I'm in Pasadena. Ooh, that's a little bit different. And instead of listing something at 250, 400,000, now I'm listing at something at 1.2 million and 1.5 million. So I'm willing to go 30 minutes west, but I wasn't willing to go 30 minutes east. That's a standard that I had. Number two, I did not do a transaction where I was going to make less than $10,000 of commissions. My focus was primarily coaching and growing my company. So anything that I would do on the side of my own personal business, I wouldn't do anything under $10,000. But Robert, what would you do with that? I would go ahead and bless my agents. Here you go. Take this listing. We'll just go 50-50 on this. You take care of it, take care of this buyer, so on and so forth. That was my personal standard. Okay, so what do you do with it? Maybe you find an agent that's in your office. Right now, Lizette and I have the good fortune of building a team. As we're building a team, we're kind of almost in the same position. We're not going to go after this type of business. We're not going to go in this direction, not because we're too good, but simply because of the fact that we want to be in a position where our time is more beneficial using it elsewhere. Okay. How about commission wise? How many of you are willing to take a listing when you're only going to get 1%? How many of you would do that? Nobody? What if it was a $50 million listing? Would you take it then? Okay. So
you said you had your minimum standards, so
Yeah, and in the 1% again, that's what I mean. There's a variable that's involved.
Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, there's a variable that's involved. Would I do 1% for 500,000? Probably not. Okay, unless it's an absolute slam dunk, I could double end it. I have an investor in my back pocket. That's probably in a sense one thing. Okay, but if the seller sits there and says, Robert, I'm not paying you more than 1%. It's a for sale by owner. It says, look, I'll hire you, but 1%, take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. It's $400,000 listing. I'll leave it. Good luck. But if it's a $2 million listing, I'm like, oh, damn. Well, it is $20,000. So I want you all to have a version of minimum standards. Okay. So you look at what those things are. All right. So
and also, Robert, just really quick, because
sure.
There was something we heard recently too, and I know that you've talked about it before also, is what you're considering as a lead. So I know we heard recently that somebody basically they're dedicating their business to only focusing on those who are planning to make a move, buying or selling within within those 3 months. Mm-hmm. Anything past that, they're dedicating that attention to finding those motivated people. So I think that's another standard, because we can get caught up on like that nurturing cycle, which is beneficial in the long run, of course. But I think that's another thing that we recently heard that was
for sure. So some of you have a natural tendency of keeping these people and hoarding what you call are leads, and you're expecting your leads to have babies to give you other leads. It doesn't work that way. So identify with what is your definition of a lead. My definition of a lead has always been somebody looking to buy or sell in the next 30 days. Okay. Buy or sell in the next 30 days. But Robert, what do you do with a person that's 3 months, 6 months, a year out? Okay. I don't identify them as the leads. They are, for me, a suspect. What's a suspect is, well, maybe, possibly, eventually they'll get around to it. But right now, I'm not going to invest too much time, energy, and or effort on these suspects, because I'm going to focus on the people that need me right now. Okay. So you identify, there's no, I don't want to say right or wrong. There's just kind of good and gooder. Okay. Let's go ahead and get a role play in. So let me go ahead and share script again for those of you that are joining us over on YouTube, those of you on Instagram, and those of you that are over on Facebook. Now is the time. You got to come join us over here. Okay, so let me go ahead and share this script. All right, so this is the part where volunteering participation is vital and it is key. I have gone a handful of times, so I'm going to leave it up to the audience. So let's get someone else to partake in this, and I'm going to be very gentle. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Lizette do a little bit of the critiquing, because I know sometimes I could be a little bit too direct on the critique. So who's going to go first?
I'll go.
Sweet. There we go. All right, everybody. Again, you got to come join us over on Zoom. All right, Aqua, I'm ready whenever you are.
I'm ready. Okay. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Robert.
Yeah. Hey, Aqua.
Hey, Robert. This is Aqua, your favorite realtor. Just giving you a call because I do have a few vital questions to ask before we meet today. Can I borrow you for a minute?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, perfect. So now, Robert, if what I say makes absolute sense and you feel comfortable and confident that I can sell your home, were you planning to list with me when I see you today?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, we're ready to make this move. We've done a lot of work to the home, and we're really excited about getting to the next place.
Perfect. All right. Love it. Now, you weren't planning on interviewing any other agents at the present time, are you?
No, but I'll be honest with you. We did speak to a realtor about 6 months ago. We weren't quite ready yet, and we still sort of stay in touch. But at this point in time, we've heard so many great things about you that we kind of would prefer to hear what you have to say.
Wonderful. Yeah. No need to interview that other agent, Robert. I think you found your girl here. So anyway, just to confirm, you're moving to Pasadena, right?
Yeah, Pasadena, Altadena, we are open to going even as far as Burbank or Glendale, but really Pasadena is kind of that center point for us.
All right, wonderful. And you wanted to be there as soon as possible, correct?
Yeah, sooner than later. We're not really in a dire rush. We'd like to do it before the year's over, and we'd like to be there by the holidays. I know it seems a little bit further away, but I want to get there in plenty of time.
Wonderful. All right. Okay. And so when I see you, Robert, how much did you want to list your home for this time around?
Well, we are thinking about 1.2. I know we were on the market at 1.25. So if we can get anything in the 1.2s, I will be ecstatic.
You'll be excited. Okay, all right. And just so you know, Robert, as a professional real estate agent, I do study homes and prices every day. So I'll assume that you'll list with me at a price that will cause the home to sell, correct?
Um, I want to see that 1.2.
You want to put two?
Yeah, I
Okay, and
just
we're
want to
going to
see
work
something
really
there.
hard. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm going to be pulling all of the research. And so now, just curious, what price won't you go below?
It's going to be
What's
that
your
1 point.
bottom line?
Yeah, 1.2. That's kind of the magic number.
1.2 is your number. Got
Yeah.
it. All right. And just so I'm going to be preparing a preliminary net sheet. That's one of the benefits that we do offer. And so, do you have a balance on the property?
I do. There's not really much that's owed. It's just under 100,000. I haven't taken a look at it. I'm gonna say it's right around 85, 90,000.
Oh, awesome.
Mhm.
Awesome. Great job. So, we have a lot of equity to protect here, Robert. Great job.
Yeah.
Okay. And just curious, you weren't planning on selling it yourself, were you?
It's an option. I'd prefer not to because I do still have my day job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, hey, that's why I'm here. I'm here to take that burden off of your plate, put it on mine, okay?
Hmm.
Sounds good? Yeah. And just so I'm clear, are you looking to take all the cash out?
I mean, I don't mind carrying a small note, but it's got to make sense. I'm not really looking at carrying anything large. I'm okay with something smaller for a short period if it helps the buyer. I know that we did
Okay.
get an offer previously with some version of seller financing, which we're open to, but it was just way too big of an amount.
I see. Okay. Well, that's good information to know. Very helpful. Thank you for that, by the way.
Mhm.
And just so I know, I'm looking at the home. The home looks wonderful. Can you please briefly describe the home for me? Have you done anything in addition,
Uh,
since the photos?
well, it is 4 bedrooms. It is two
Uh-huh.
baths. But I don't know if you see the description in detail. It's registered as four, even though technically we have three because one of
Okay.
the walls was removed to extend one of the rooms. So right now it's built out as three, even though it's registered as a four. We do have two full bathrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Renovated the home completely about 7 or 8 years ago. And probably the biggest upgrade for sure is going to be the kitchen. We invested almost 100,000 in that one.
Yeah, it looks like it. It looks wonderful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, just so you know, I'm going to be sending over a package of information. Would you do me a favor and just review it? It'll include the comps and my marketing plan of action
Yeah.
that I follow to get property sold. Would you like for me to email that packet to you or deliver it at your doorstep?
Either one's fine.
Okay, perfect.
Mhm.
And what's the best email for you?
It's robert@robert.com.
Okay, perfect. And will all of the decision makers be present?
Well, yeah, it'll be basically just the two of us.
Okay, perfect. And now, did you have any questions for me before I come?
Not really. I mean, really, it's just a matter of hearing with what it is that I want to hear, and that way we can go ahead and get this process going.
All right, sounds good to me. And
Mhm.
just so you know, Robert, the meeting should take between 25 and 30 minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. The
All
last
right.
the last presentation was almost an hour, so that's refreshing.
Oh no, I promise you I won't take
Mhm.
up too much of your time.
Mhm.
And so thank you for that. And I look forward to meeting you in the set
Mhm.
when I see you today. All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, good stuff. Awesome. Very good work. The one thing I do want to highlight to everybody, there's a couple of areas of opportunities that we'll address. But if you notice, that literally took under 8 minutes. 8 minutes, 1 or 2 minutes of critique. The next person goes 8 minutes, 1 or 2 minutes of critique. Those of you that are investing 30 minutes of your time on role play, I don't know what you guys are doing. Okay, so you don't need 30 minutes. You can get this accomplished in 15 to 20 minutes if you're efficient. Okay, so I want to make sure that I highlight and identify that. So congratulations, Aqua. Good job. Lizette,
Thank
any
you.
critique?
Yeah, I think you did really great. You stuck to the script and it sounded like you, so it didn't sound like you were reading it. But there are a few, so at the beginning, whenever you're asking them about, about their excitement, their motivation as to where they're moving or what they're going to be doing, I think that's a good time to reaffirm their excitement. Oh, okay, that's exciting. We're excited to help you, and I think that would help. But I like how you kept it light and you still kept it very confident. You're like, I'm your girl. You don't even have to interview those other ones. So I think that's very confident. That shows in the conversation. I do think like whenever he was saying, well, we want to be able to move before the holidays. Well, which holiday? That way you can kind of shrink your timeline. Whether it's going to be, do you want to be in your home by Christmas, or do you want to start moving around Thanksgiving time? Like what holiday are you kind of just diving into that? And that way you can shrink the time frame.
Okay.
And then I think getting with the pricing. So where he's like, well, I want to make 1.2. Like that's my bottom line. Well, why do you need a net 1 point, or why do you need to make 1.2 off of this home? Like, do you have another home in mind that you're looking at, or why that specific number? How much do you need to net to find that magic number? What's going to be important for them?
Right. Okay.
But I like how you kept it really positive. I did notice too that you did a double question, which I do that sometimes too, where I ask, so I think you asked him to describe the home for me. So describe the home for me. Did you do anything to it to renovate it or anything? So he really couldn't answer the first question. He just answered your second question. So where you double questioned it. And like I said, I do that a lot. So I had to catch myself too to not do that. And just stick to okay, describe your home for me, and then move on to the next one. Did you do anything to renovate it since you purchased it? So I think that way you can get some more information by breaking those two questions apart. And then I also think like once he described like, well, we did this, we did that, we renovated the entire kitchen. Okay, so let me get this straight. So you got this, you got that. So probably just summarizing what they said, because I do think that reaffirming still can take place here, especially if you don't know them too well. You can just reaffirm to them, and that way they feel like you're on the same page as them.
Sure.
Okay, so you did a whole renovation to your kitchen. That's great. I'm gonna make sure I have a note of that, and we'll definitely take a look into similar comps that reflect that also. But I think your energy was great. I think that you did a good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Awesome. I love that. So great job overall. Great critique. I think I'm going to give it very, very, a very brief, but very powerful critique. The question between the questions is what lacked. That's what creates the depthness behind it. It keeps it focused in regards to them. Furthering in regards to what Lizette is talking about, share with me, which of the holidays are you most excited about? What is it that your family, do you guys host all the holidays, by the way? Which one is actually your favorites? What about your wife? What's her interest? What's your time for? Well, let's quickly go over this here. So we got August, September, October, November. Ooh, that shortens our window. I'm sure you realize that right now the average days on market is right around 37, 42 days. Plus, we're going to need another 30 to 45 days to close escrow. So we really need to get this process started sooner rather than later. And you're right, Aqua, as you mentioned, it may seem a little further, but trust me, I have real estate time clock embedded in me. So yes, we got to get this process going sooner rather than later. Okay. So great job. Thank you for participating. Any questions, comments, concerns, anything from anyone that we can address here?
So Robert, for rent by owner, do we still ask all the questions, or we need to change a little bit moving to investors?
So there is an investor prequal, which we're going to go over on Thursday. So there is an investor prequal at that point in time, and I'll just tease you guys here real quick. And again, that's the downfall of being on Instagram and on YouTube. You got to come join us at some point over on Zoom. So let me go ahead and share this script here very, very quickly. Okay, so on this, if what I say makes sense, you feel comfortable and confident that I can increase your rental income, are you planning to list your property when I come out? Or if I can make you the most amount of money? Okay, depending. Are you planning to interview more than one agent? If we were to sell this, would you be open to buying again? Would you be reinvesting this money back into what kind of rental agreements do you currently have now with your tenants? So this script is specific to investors. Trust me, I have this down. I've done plenty of business with investors. I've been an investor, so thinking like an investor. So it is a different script, and there are more than just adding one or two questions. It's very parallel to, but it's kind of like cousins. There are some similarities. There might be eyes that are close. There might be noses that are close, but there's a difference, okay, in between the two different prequels. So it is important that we understand prequel is not, it's not vanilla. We have to cater it. And that's the reason I say this is the most important script of them all, because this is what's going to increase your business.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. So one last question. Anything else? Anyone else? Awesome. Thank you guys for being here. Don't forget, tune in today, 12 o'clock, Instagram Live. I'm going to be with Brian Casella and, as usual, James Shelby. You got to come join us, 12 o'clock, and that's on Instagram. That is not on anywhere else, any of the other platforms, okay? Again, if you are not a subscriber of YouTube, I'm going to encourage you. I've recorded a bunch of content, so we're going to start releasing more and more content on YouTube, okay? So if you have any information, please make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you comment, and most importantly, share it with all of your real estate homies. Let's have a powerful, productive day. Let's go take a listing or 5. I'll see you guys later today at 12 o'clock. See you then.
Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. All right, everybody, you heard it. I'm going to be live here with Brian Casella and James Shelby. So please tune in today, 12 o'clock Pacific Standard, and I'll see you then. Thank you.